All right, welcome back to another episode of In Between Overs. As always, we're your hosts for the day's play. My name is Taran.
And my name is Ishan Sharma.
I'm sitting here on my seat, just thinking about how New Zealand is celebrating in India, probably doing the haka right now. The New Zealand haka. You know the dance that they do when they play rugby?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
I
They're
just
doing
can't
that.
believe what happened over the past couple of weeks. Like my slog sweep came true. I didn't want it to come true, and it came true. So now I got to think twice about the slog sweep that I mentioned next time. But to go down 3-0 at home, it hasn't happened ever in India. And it's the first time they've gotten clean swept since 99 2000 series, that series against South Africa when Hansi Cronje, shout out Hansi Cronje,
Shout out.
RIP, RIP. But wow, I'm still, I can't believe, and I feel like we're repeating ourselves from the last episode because this is how I felt the last time when New Zealand won this series. And now I feel it again because they just swept them.
This match, I don't think it's settled yet in me. First match of the series, that was a surprise. Second match was a shock. This one at Wankhede, uh, mouth is open, and especially, gotta give our flowers to New Zealand. Great opposition. They were the better team for sure. But New Zealand, a team that has only won 2 tests in India in the entire existence of international
Oh,
cricket,
yeah.
won 3 back to back. And this
Back to back
test,
to back, back to back to
back to
back.
back. I
They got
can't
a
even
three
say
a
it.
3 feet within 3 weeks.
Look, I remember one thing. I remember you mentioning in one of our earlier episodes how you were expecting at least one loss this series to sort of perhaps wake India up for the potential test series or for the test series in Australia. I really hope India will woke up. I hope
Bro,
India as a
they're not
cricket
just
team.
awake, they're not sleeping right now. They're not even
I'm
sleeping.
not sleeping. You're not sleeping. No one's sleeping.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was an intense final day's play, and we'll get into the match in detail. So it started off with New Zealand winning the toss. They decided to bat first, as you should, on a Wankhede pitch. I know you want to talk about the pitch later on, but Wankhede pitches are known to be, you win the toss, you bat first, you don't even think twice about it because you don't want to bat last on that wicket. And as soon as that happened, immediately I was like, okay, India's already on the back foot. And then New Zealand go about what New Zealand does, just doggedness with the bat, stubborn batting. And that's what you saw throughout that first innings. It almost got to a point where it felt like they were headed for a 300 plus score. And for India to pull it back, hats off to them for pulling it back. But the way New Zealand batted, especially Will Young and I think it was Daryl Mitchell in that
Dear
first
Mitchell.
innings, yeah,
Yep. Yeah, no, as you're mentioning, great batting. Grit, I think grit would be the right word, as they were batting. I think the India did, I think after their innings, I think India probably felt good that they restricted them to a decent total.
yeah,
I think, a little bit disappointing from Ashwin in that first innings. I don't think he got any wickets at all.
yeah.
But still, I think, they tidied them up, especially as you mentioned, they were batting well and looking ahead well above 300.
Yeah, and I I don't know if I agree with what Dinesh Karthik said at the end of the innings where he said New Zealand were under par. I was like 235 is over par, man. You're playing at the Wankhede, like it's going to be a turning wicket, it's going to turn square within a few hours. And which it was, which is why New Zealand collapsed at the end there. And when he said, they're under par, I'm like, bro, they're over par. Like they shouldn't have got to 200. They should have been like 175, 180.
Yeah, no,
Which,
I agree, and especially if you look at even on day two, I think it was the first session. The commentators were even seeing some dust come up. So
yeah,
the pitch was deteriorating at a fast rate. I think that's what India was also looking to get from the pitch. Maybe that's not what they should have gotten, but I think they were expecting the pitch to turn. So yeah, I think 235. I think as much as India would have been happy in restricting them less than 300, I still think New Zealand felt like it was a solid bat.
Yeah, yeah, it was a solid bat. It was a middling score, in my opinion, above par. I don't know how New Zealand felt about it, obviously, but clearly they felt good about it because when they came to bowl, they got a little bit of stick. India got off to a good start, and then we saw what Ravi Shastri calls harakiri happen on that day one evening. Just what was it, like 5-10 minutes before close? Walk us through what happened.
Walk me through. I don't. I've watched that last hour, or sorry, last couple of minutes so many times. I still don't even know what happened. You know, first you get our famous DSP Siraj come in as night watchman. Uh Pretty much plumb first ball, and he's out. He goes in, looks confused, and calls a review as a night
Bro,
watchman.
his face, when he called that review, I was like, bro, get the fuck back to the dugout. Go back to the pavilion. Don't even think about taking a review right now. Like, you're not Kohli. Like, just because you walked out at number 4 doesn't give you the right to take a review.
See, I think the comparison, the meme comparison of Siraj and Sir Vivian Richards that we see all over on internet, on Twitter and everywhere, with the hat he wears coming out to bat. He probably felt he was in spirit. He felt it was his day, but the ball's turning to last few minutes of the day. Night watchman, at least some common sense. Come on.
Oh, the man planted his foot forward
Ugh.
like with full confidence and missed it by a mile.
Look, here's one thing though. As much as I was extremely upset, and I'm sure India as a team was very upset at that moment. I think 20 years down the line, 10 years down the line, this one moment, everyone in the dressing room will remember, because I don't remember it. What he asked for the review. I was shocked.
Oh, the man was like, the man looked like, hi. I'm like, bro, it's not hi. Just go back. Just go back. You're fine. It happens. Okay. We don't need you to take a review right now because you're probably gonna get out the very next ball.
I know it was shocking. And then
Oh.
you want to walk us through what happened after that?
Yeah. Oh. Before that, we can't forget what started all of this that happened. Like, Yashasvi Jaiswal was playing so well, and for him to do that, it was a premeditated reverse sweep. Like, yeah, he had some success a few balls before, but clearly he didn't even wait for the length or the line of the ball. He just went for it. He's like, I'm gonna reverse sweep this next ball. And Ajaz Patel pitches it outside leg. That's an easy regular sweep. Your orthodox sweep shot, he gets 4 or maybe a couple runs. Man goes for reverse sweep, gets bowled, and this that's what triggers the collapse that evening.
Yeah, no, great point you mentioned there. And as much as he's performed above par in comparison to other players on the team, you got to call him out for what he has done. And to your point, it was the last few overs within the match, sorry, within the day. You could have just played the line and let play each ball to
Yep.
its merit. Perhaps don't go for those extra runs at that time. The silver lining is that you would hope that this comes with experience. But to your point, this to your point, it was the key point in sort of triggering what had happened at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you had Siraj come out, get out next ball. And then Virat comes out looking edgy as ever. Like,
Very
clearly he
shaky.
wasn't ready. Yeah. The fact that you send a night watchman out, he probably already has the mindset of, okay, Siraj's probably going to see these few balls out. I'm going to bat tomorrow morning. Now he's got a rush to come out to bat. He looks frenetic at the crease. And then he gets run out. Cardinal sin. And we talked about this last episode.
You mentioned it.
Yeah. He ran out Rishabh Pant that probably would have done something in that match. Who probably would have done something in that match. And then this time he runs himself out.
Yeah, perhaps, some of the commentators, some of the discourse as well online was alluding to the fact that perhaps he's not had enough, experience with a team, especially is also, there was discussions of not playing Ranji trophies. I'm not sure when the last time Kohli or Rohit both play Ranji, but that's also
Mhm.
now a part of the discussions with everyone. Because to your point, Indian cricket standards, especially in a test match format, are very high. They've been
Yep.
extremely high and they've been very passionate about this format. And as much as, Rohit and Kohli, and I know we're talking about Kohli right now, they've shown it throughout, their careers.
Mhm.
If you are going out or if you cause the same issues over and over, Cricket India, does take notice to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you like you said, the discourse online, people are just upset. They feel like, Kohli and Rohit, especially just because of the um, I guess the reputation that they've built, that they can get away with not playing Ranji, taking long breaks, and just showing up and turning up for Test match cricket. Like it, at some point, you're gonna be found out, right? And it looks like it's happening right now. And it doesn't. It's not a good. It's not a good look for sure.
No, no, not at all, not at all. So then you had Rishabh Pant come out, and he survived the last two balls or three balls for the day, and
Yeah.
then you sort of had the sessions before lunch. How do you think the beginning of the day went for Team India?
Yeah, so I liked what Punt and Shubman Gill did. Punt did what Punt does best, right? That's how he plays, and good for him. That's his natural game. And what I want to say about Shubman Gill is he played his natural game too, and his natural game is not Punt's game. So when I see him play like Punt, I'm like, what are you doing? The innings that he played is how Shubman Gill, a number three bat in India, should be playing. You
Hundred
know,
percent.
you grind it out. You take the time you need. You respect the good balls. You hit the bad balls, and you just wear the bowlers out. And you score runs gradually throughout the day. That's exactly what he did, and that's how you need to be playing on these pitches. Obviously, I'm no test match batter, but I've been watching cricket for so long to know that on certain pitches, you just have to figure a way to fight out the conditions, and just tough it out and score runs however you can. Put a price on your wicket. And I don't think we saw that enough. And I probably should save this for later and probably come back to it. I'm fine talking about it again, but India needs to put a
Mm-hmm.
price on their wickets, and that's what I felt they didn't. So I'm happy with the way Gill and Punt played in that innings there.
No, no, and to your point, I think what contemplates what works really well for Bunt is knowing that the at the other end is someone who's reliable and who's someone who is sort of digging it out. And we've noticed this as well in the Australia series with Pujara. Bunt and
Yeah.
Pujara's innings together in those series, that's what sometimes people may consider what tilted those series. Pujara would hold down one end, and Pant would do Pant things on the other end. And we saw glimpses of that over here as well. Pant was playing as he was, doing those sweeps, doing those reverse sweeps. And Gill was, again, as you mentioned, doing his own thing as a number three should. Very
Yep.
reminiscent of early Kohli, playing those loose balls whenever you get it, but playing every other ball by its merit. And,
Yeah.
that's Pant does, sorry, Shubman Gill played his game very well. Pant did his game very well. And to your point, that was what was instrumental in getting to a decent score to what India got in their first innings.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it could have been a better score had it not been for Ajaz Patel turning it on after that lunch session. I felt like New Zealand took over the game again after lunch. They got I think he got, did he get Shubman out? Yeah, he got Shubman a beautiful ball. I remember it was caught at slip. And then he got the rest of the lower order out. Took a fifer. He was great for the entire match. I'm sure we'll come back to him for the second innings. But then you had India getting all out for 263. let's take a moment and talk about that run out that happened with Akashdeep. Like Washington Sundar was looking real good out there.
Whenever he's come out of bat and he's looked great, and uh another cardinal sin, as you mentioned. And if you look at the replay, it was very nonchalant. It didn't seem no urgency, and that comes to it. You need to have that price on your wicket from
Yeah,
1 to 11, from 1 to 11, and
exactly.
we've seen players come out with throughout history with bandages, limping.
Yeah.
You should have that urgency, and you should have that defense for your wicket. And unfortunately, another Cardinal run out.
Yeah, yeah, quite unfortunate because I was looking forward to Washi scoring a half century, maybe get India closer to that 290, 300 mark. But when you get out, say it again, run outs just can't happen, man. Just can't happen.
Not at all.
Anyway, so then we go into New Zealand. So New Zealand comes out to bat again for the second innings, and at this point, you're thinking, if you're New Zealand, you're thinking, okay, the lead's about 20 odd. You probably want to muster up at least 150, a lead of 150. If you can get to 200, that's great, right? And I remember, I don't know if I heard it or I saw it somewhere, but the team batting fourth on Wankhede has not chased a score above 100.
Yes, I saw something similar. I think maybe saw 120, but to your point, it was something very
Yeah,
low. And
yeah.
to your point, it's making it seem like fourth innings chase would have been difficult.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I feel like New Zealand came out with that mindset to get to that mark because you saw some of the innings that the way some of the batters played. So you had Will Young again, brilliant batting, and we can talk more about his performance now that we're talking about the second inning. So he's got back-to-back 50s in a test match where batters found it hard to bat. Indian batters found it hard to bat. And this guy comes out here one down, scores a 50 in each innings, and he held New Zealand's second innings together for the most part. And then you saw some of the batters batting around him.
Yeah, no, no. To your point, that number three position coming to bat is very critical, at least in my perspective from a test match, especially in a test match. Both
Mm-hmm.
times, really dug it out, very key, persistent batting, and I think he maybe strike rate was maybe above 50%, or was it just above 50%? His second innings, but yeah,
Yep.
like 51 out of 100 balls. And to your point, everyone was sort of trying to bat around him because you had that sense of satisfaction, or of understanding that at one end, you know, someone is holding it down.
Yeah, and let's give a shout out to Glenn Phillips, is 26. Man came out, faced 14 balls, was there for 12 minutes, scored 26 runs, hit three sixes. And you look at how many runs New Zealand won by.
Very good point. Very good point. 25, and makes
Yeah.
you wonder. Makes you wonder.
Yeah, yeah. It's always the little innings here and there that go unnoticed. And when I saw the highlights of him play the way he was playing, I'm like, thank God he got out for what he did. Because if he was there for another 10 minutes, this guy was scoring a 50. He was hitting it clean.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think even India throughout the day, getting Latham out, on the fourth ball of the day, they were looking to restrict New Zealand to what I think at least below 150. And to your point, 174, 25, 26, too much, and that
Yeah.
goes directly towards Phillips over there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a combination of everything, right? You can talk about
Hmm.
Phillips's innings, but then you go back to that run out we talked about with
Yes.
right at the end, right? You never know. Washi could have put up another 25, 30
Mhm.
runs, and then, that evens out it at the end, right? So it's small margins when you're playing this level of cricket and it's on full show, full display.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I think, if we do look at India's bowling, in
Hmm.
that innings as well, I think, it was nice to see Jaddu and Ashwin sort of turn it up to what they were before, going for 5 wickets and 3 wickets respectfully, bowling under four and over. I think India's bowling, I think they wished they could have restricted them to a little bit less, but I think they felt it was at least even for me as well. I felt like it was a total that could be achievable for India's batters.
Yeah, yeah, you would feel that, right? You're playing at home, you know these conditions, you know what to expect, and you'd feel like they'd be able to pull it off. So then India gets into their innings, and then you watch Rohit Sharma do what you wouldn't want him to do in that situation. And I was just like, man, are you serious? Like, you're better than that.
And only Rohit Sharma would get out to a fast bowler on a fourth race spinning pitch at Wankhede. He's from Wankhede. He's from Mumbai.
Oh my gosh. It's like, I watched the ball. It's a good length ball. Just defend it. Why do you have to hit it? Like, you hit the previous ball for, I think it was a four. Yeah, 2-4. So he's hit a couple of boundaries in his innings. Yeah, he looks aggressive. He's already got the message out there. I'm gonna be aggressive. Okay. But just play the ball on merit, man.
I know, I know. And you live by the sword and die by the sword. He's always been one of setting the tone and of putting the opposition under pressure. And when it works out, we're all hurrah,
Yeah.
classic Rohit Sharma innings. But
Yeah.
when it doesn't work, it stinks, and it sticks out like a sore thumb, which
Yeah.
his inning does.
Yeah. And I just want to stick on Rohit for a second. I don't like Rohit 2.0 in tests. Like, that's my opinion, and the commenters could
Let's
come
stop
at
there.
me.
Let's
It's all
stop there.
good.
Let's stop there. What do you mean
Yeah.
by that?
So I feel over the past year or so, or couple years, he's changed the way he's approached opening in test matches. He's trying to play the same way he is in one days and T20s when he was doing that, coming up aggressive. I don't think he needs to do that in test matches. Like the way he was playing before, play the ball on merit. He's got the game to play a long innings. So why don't you play a long innings? Why are you trying to take extra risks? You've done it in the past. He's made hundreds, and he's got double hundreds in tests, if I'm not mistaken. So he has the ability to do it. He's proven it. I don't know why he needed to change. Maybe it's something internally that's going on. I don't know, but that's something that I noticed, and in my opinion is I think you should go back to how he was playing before.
Yeah, no, no, we do notice that speedy pace of play for sure, from Rohit. Perhaps is it learning from osmosis from baseball. Getting it started from early on. Perhaps it's positive batting that everyone's talking about. That's what the new age of play is. But no, I do feel when you're playing, especially in India, the template that works. Stick to it.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, it's Wankhede. He's played there. He's grew up playing on those wickets. He's a Mumbai boy. Like, you probably know better, right? And well, maybe he did know better. Maybe that he felt that was the best way to go. And but from outside looking in, it didn't look very good, especially knowing that you want to put New Zealand on the back foot. You give them the opportunity, and if you're going to attack and show that you're attacking every single ball, the opposition is going to know that they're in with a shot here because they have the edge with the pitch being on their side. So they know that at some point one ball is going to have your name on it, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, yeah. We if we look a little bit down the batting order as well, Virat Kohli, this test match, this series, will be
It's out of
forgettable for him for
sorts.
sure.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. He got a beauty for sure in the second innings. It's a beautiful ball. uh, yeah, something just doesn't feel right with him. Hopefully he comes back. He's an all-time great. I'm sure he'll bounce back. He'll go back to the drawing board. He'll see what he's got to work on, and I'm sure in Australia, those pitches will suit him better too. But the ball coming onto the bat, so I think
Hmm.
we might see a big scoring series for him for sure. But yeah, this series definitely wasn't his series. One to forget for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I know. And before we comment on Pant, I do want to comment on Sarfaraz Khan.
Oof.
So, international test match in Mumbai at Wankhede. His
His
dad's
dad
there,
and his
and
brother.
his brother's there, and first innings, duck. He's on a pair. He gets 1 run. Tehran, what happened? Tell me.
Man gets a nice juicy full toss, and he's like, Kohli, you got on a full toss last test match? Hold my bat.
Let me show you how it's done. And hey,
Yeah.
full disclosure. I think this is perhaps maybe like 1 a.m. I'm texting Tehran about the test match, and we're talking about the pitch. You know, it's turning. It's a minefield. And how
Yeah.
does Safraz get out on a full toss? Pitch has no play in it whatsoever.
Another Mumbai boy that just failed it, and yeah, that was inexplicable. What happened? Even the way New Zealand was celebrating, like they just could not believe their luck. And it's in that moment where I look back now, and I'm like, when that happened, that's the kind of moments. It's like, yeah, New Zealand's got this.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like, those 50-50 moments, or those moments, those unbelievable moments. When that happens, then you know that the momentum is on the other side.
Dude, I'm a big believer in like the you call it the intangible, you call it the flow,
Yeah.
you call it
Yeah.
luck. When you just know it's someone else's day, where it's like,
Yeah.
you know what, I would have gone that 99 out of 100 times, but this one time the ball did this, or I my shot happened to go there. You know what?
Yeah.
It's just not our day. And to your point, when that happened, it's just sort of when the soul is sucked outside the stadium. You felt that. It was quiet at
Oof.
Wankhede, right? The
Oof. It
local
was
lad, his dad
so
there, his
quiet.
brother there. And when that happened, it's like, you can't even blame the pitch. It's like, just not your day, not your week, not your month for Team India at this matter.
Oh man, yeah, yeah, unforgettable moments, some of those. So then, okay, so amongst all those moments that happened, the wickets falling around, you have one guy standing up and just taking the game on. And when Rishabh Pant was going off, man, as every Indian out there probably was like, okay, everything rests on this guy right now. And the way he was playing, it looked like he was going to single-handedly pull that off.
No, no, I agree, and I think it was Ashwin who said this on his channel. When Rishabh Pant is batting, the opposition has their heart in their mouth, heart in their mouth, and so does India. India has their heart in their mouth as well. Because he's playing so much on edge. And to your point, when he's on his game, it's beautiful to watch, and you feel that this is momentum shifting. And
Yep.
kudos to him, great innings, and we mentioned this numerous times. He's made for Test match. He's made for Test
He's
cricket.
he's made for test match and test match, and he is a genius. He definitely is. I definitely appreciate him a lot more now. The thing about him is the shots that he plays, the areas that he's able to access is so unorthodox that the same ball that someone like a Kohli, Gill, Rohit Sharma, the classical batsman, they would play it a certain way, but he's able to play it a different way because of the way that he bats, the way he's able to use the crease, the way he's able to use his hand-eye coordination, which sets him apart, and that's why he can play the way he plays. And that's why I think he should always play like that, no matter the situation. And I know people get upset when he gets out, but when when he's in and when he is able to stick around, magic happens, like you saw with his innings.
No, no, I agree. Even if 1 out of 3 innings are it becomes like that, I think that's more than, an acceptable rate for such an innings. And, as you mentioned, amongst the chaos, amongst the collapse,
Yeah,
he was that one silver lining that, in both innings, was able to
yeah.
perform with his bat.
So then, what about his dismissal? Did you see that replay? Did you see the controversy around it? What did you think? Was that out?
You I thought it was that. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I tried watching the replay. I actually went back on the highlights to watch it over and over again a couple times. And I was trying to see what the umpire saw, and I don't think I saw a gap between the ball and the bat, although some people are saying like it wasn't fully obvious to me. Maybe I didn't have a lot of replays to look at because of course I was watching highlights. And I'm sure there's videos online with longer, like, repeated replays, which I'll probably watch again. But to me, from the little that I watched, it looked like it was out. and I can understand that the bat clipped the pad as well. And so, what's that thing called? Uh,
Hotspot
is it? No, it's not
or
hotspot.
Snicko?
It's called.
Snicko?
Is it Snicko?
Ultra
Yeah,
Edge?
it's Snicko. Ultra Edge. That's the term. Yeah, Ultra Edge. So Ultra Edge gave the sounds that it was giving was it wasn't clear that it was at the time that the ball hit, or I should say it this way: at the time that the ball passed the bat, it seemed like there were multiple sounds. So it was hard to make a decision. And I can't remember what the on-field decision was not out. So then the umpire needed conclusive evidence to overturn
Overturn it.
the decision. Given what I saw, I don't know if he had, but then at the same time, it seemed like he did. It was so tough. Like, I wouldn't want to be an umpire in that situation. If I were to make the call, yeah, probably I'm giving that out.
Yeah, no. To your point, it was on-field decision not out, and it was overturned. Uh, I remember seeing because there was a spike on the Ultra Edge before the ball came near the bat, which I think is what like was
Hmm.
part of the not mirroring. But then
Mm-hmm.
there was another spike when the ball was near it. I it's tough because the Indian in me saying is you have to say it's not out, but
Yeah.
just the way the ball popped, and it did seem like it might have hit the bat.
Yeah. 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 So we'll probably have to watch that again, see it multiple times. But I have no problems with the decision. It is what it is. That's test match cricket, right? And we're only saying this because of the technology that we're able to use in the game now. Like,
Correct,
back in the
correct.
day, you just had to live with the decision. That's just the game, right? So it is what it is. He gets out. India fall over, I think, within a few overs. Not much to write home about. New Zealand go 3 up, and that's all she wrote for the series. I still can't believe it.
I no words, and just wrapping up the
Yeah.
last inning. So shout out to Ajaz Patel,
Yes.
ripped it through, and 6 wickets for him. But what a match! What a series!
Yeah.
I think I don't even know where to start. Like, do you have any numbers maybe you want to run through that we can go through?
Yeah.
Like,
Before that, I wanted to talk about Ajaz Patel. You talked about Ajaz Patel. One more thing on him is this guy's a Mumbai boy, and I think we WhatsApped about this too. He has 74 test match scalps. Let me pull it up here live. 85, so including this test match. So 85 test match scalps. And when I heard about it, it was he's taken 20. Well, he has a best of 14 plus he took 11 in this match. So he's taken 25 wickets at the Wankhede out of 85 wickets. If I do quick math there, that's about a third.
about a third. Yeah, about a
About a
third.
third of his
Yeah,
test match
a
wickets
bit less
in
than a third,
one
but yeah,
ground in 2 matches in one ground.
ridiculous, ridiculous. Just shows his domination. And I did hear something else, even crazier, or maybe not as
Yeah.
crazy as that, but still pretty crazy. Uh, he has 0 test wickets in New Zealand.
Oh yes, I heard about that too. Heard
Imagine
about that
that.
too.
He has 0 test wickets in New Zealand, but at the
I
Wankhede, where he's born, first of all, too. So,
yeah.
just, there's always some funny connection with cricket somehow, right? That's that
I think
connection
he
there, but crazy.
yeah. Crazy. And I think he barely gets a run in New Zealand when they play in New Zealand. Because they usually play I think they play 3 or 4 pacers, or maybe they play a spin bowling all rounder.
Yeah.
And I don't think he plays a lot in New Zealand. So it's an insane stat. But shout out to him. Great performance. And then you had play of the series. This was a bit of a surprise for me. I don't know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. Will Young gets play of the series. I feel like you'd want your boy Rachin Ravindra getting it. But you tell me.
From the series perspective, yeah, I think it was nice
Yeah.
seeing Rutschner perform, but as we alluded to earlier in this episode, Will Young, number 3, he was solid. He was a
Mm-hmm.
foundation. He was able to play those test match innings that are not maybe as flashy as Buns, but those what are helps those sort of help create other innings around them, and you know I'm not sure if he was top scorer, but I think he scored in very important moments in the test match, which really allowed them to win the series.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All his innings that he had, like I'm looking at all 6 innings. So 33 and 48 in the first test, 18 and 23 in the second test, 71 and 51 in the third test. The first test, the 48 was actually a really good innings because that
Yeah.
was one of those scores that they were chasing where, you didn't want India had a sniff. I remember they had a couple early wickets. Bumrah was bowling amazing in that innings. I remember with the overcast conditions. So that was a phenomenal innings to put New Zealand 1-0 up. And then second test match, he got a couple of starts. Again, um, you know he didn't get out for low scores, and if he made 18 and 23, I'm willing to bet he was at the crease for at least 30 to an hour at the crease
Hmm.
because he doesn't make his runs quick. He soaks up pressure, he soaks up the good deliveries, and you don't want to look past that either as a batter. Like there's something about when you're number one, two, and three are able to soak up pressure with the new
Correct.
ball, beat up the new ball a bit, make it a little easier for the batters after to follow. There's something about that. It's not all about just scoring runs all the time. It's about eating up time, eating up balls, making the ball easier to play later on for the other batters. And I think he
Yeah.
did that. He did that well, and then throughout the series, and then in the third test is where he shone.
Yeah, no, no, completely agree. And Tehran, whose shoes is he trying to fill? I think those are some pretty big shoes, but fairly well, no?
Yeah, yeah, Mr. Kane Williamson didn't play at all in the series. If I remember from the start of when you did a series preview, like I expected him to score big runs, big match player, and he didn't even play the entire series. Will Young plays instead of him, and performance of a lifetime.
Yeah, and Player of the Series award attests to that. And as you mentioned, big shoes to fill, but did well enough for New Zealand to have this historic series win against India.
I want to give a quick shout out for man of the series, Mitchell Satner. Man came in, played one test, took 13 wickets, won the series for New Zealand, said bye bye, I'll see you later. Thanks guys. Have a great third test match. I know he got injured, but the point is he did extremely well because his performance was the game changer for the series. Like if he didn't perform the way he did, maybe India wins that second test match and you're going to the third 1-1, and who knows what could have happened then with different mentality on both sides, right? Um, but I guess when you want to award and man of the series, you want someone playing all three test matches. But I feel
Hmm.
like if I were naming, I would have probably voted for him. Just that one performance alone was a standout for me.
Yeah, I know that one performance. As you mentioned, 13 wickets. You could practically get that across 3 games. And still be considered
Yeah,
good, right?
yeah,
Right? No, no. To,
yeah.
to your point, though, but
Given his past performances, where he's never taken more than 3 or 4 wickets in a first class innings alone, right?
yeah, yeah, no, no, exactly, exactly. But yeah, I think probably looked at the all three test matches in total, but nonetheless, crazy performance from him, and I doubt India would have expected him to get those many wickets that one test match.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Phenomenal performance. All right, so I guess we started with the series review with the man of the series and whatnot. Uh, let's start with New Zealand as a whole for the series. We got to give them their flowers. We've given them plenty of flowers already, but they deserve more. This was a historic performance. I think Simon Dool said that this is probably New Zealand's greatest Test match win in history, and I agree. I don't see anything bigger than this.
No, no, I completely agree. I think especially after New Zealand coming off a pretty big defeat in Sri Lanka,
Yes.
no one was in their corner when
Mhm.
they won one test match. It was, oh wow. Two, no one expected, and three, oh gosh, no one in the cricketing world would have thought about that. So kudos to them, and they really did show that. There's one thing that my father had always told me, that in Test cricket he felt anyone can win, and just goes to show you that in times like this, the underdogs can literally create history in three Test matches.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that series in Sri Lanka helped New Zealand, because you're playing in very similar conditions. It's not like it's alien conditions. It's conditions similar to what the pitches that they face, at least in the second and third Test match, right? And I wonder how much that helped them, because one, it's similar time zones, they're acclimatized to the weather as well.
True.
The pitches are similar, they're playing similar bowlers. You can say quality is a little different, but similar type of bowlers, when it comes to spin. Um,
Yep. Yep.
so I feel like that helped them a lot in terms of preparation, if you will. Yeah, they lost the series, but clearly, they learned from that series by the scoreline that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, exactly that, and even from a bowling department as well, like, Ajaz Patel killed it in Mumbai, and yeah, even in the first Test matches, the fast bowlers came in clutch. So
Yeah.
I think New Zealand's bowlers came in clutch, and I think one thing that perhaps we didn't mention, but I think was in our notes and something we should not fail to mention, New Zealand fielding. I know there's a few drop
Oh,
catches
yes.
this Test match, but I think
Yeah.
overall in the series, New Zealand's fielding was on point,
Oh my
especially the
gosh.
first two
Yeah.
games.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. All I can see in my mind is Daryl Mitchell's big bucket
Oh,
hands just catching everything at slip. I don't think he dropped a catch.
no, and he looks like he fits that fielding position so well. He gets
Yeah,
down
yeah.
low super quick. I think for he was there for Kohli's dismissal as well.
Yeah.
Got down super quick, and no doubt.
Yeah, yeah. I think he took 3 or 4 catches in that second innings, and some of them were tight, some of them were easy, but he looked comfortable with every single. And that's just a nuance of New Zealand's feeling. But then you have everyone else around him, like Glenn Phillips, Rachin Ravindra. They all did
Yeah,
phenomenal in the field. Yeah, they probably had a couple of drop catches here and there, and that's given. It's cricket, that happens. But it wasn't consistent. Like, they were consistently catching more than they were dropping, for sure.
yeah, yeah, man. As they say, catches win matches. So
Yep.
that was definitely on New Zealand side there.
Yeah. And shout out to their batting too. One thing that stands out for me, I know we can pull up stats, and Rishabh Pant ended up being the top scorer amongst both sides for the series.
Wow,
But then
kudos
you
to
look
Rishabh
at
Pant.
Yeah, but then when you look at number 2 and number 3, you have Rachin Ravindra and Will Young, both at 256 and 244 runs for the series. And
Oh,
that right
okay.
there, and without even looking at the rest of the batters, which partly I don't have access to, but when you just look at the top three and you see there's 2 New Zealanders in the top three, it tells you enough right there. That's what you saw in most of New Zealand's batting innings, where they had at least 2 guys stepping up. One guy made a big score, the other guy made a semi big score. And I can remember Rachin Ravindra. You had Daryl Mitchell a couple times. You had Tom Latham stepping up
Yeah.
in the second Test match. Amazing innings in that second innings to set up the score. Then
Will
you
Young didn't
had
mention
Will
Will
Young.
Young. Didn't
Will
mention
Young,
him. Yeah.
250s in this innings, right? You always
Yeah.
had at least 2 batters stepping up. And I don't think it was the same with India. You look at India's batting innings, batting performances, you had Rishabh Pant in every Test match doing something, and then you had Sarfaraz Khan in that first Test match. Other than that, I can't think of anyone else.
No, no, you
Maybe
can't. If you go
Shubman
down
Gill.
the
Maybe Shubman Gill with the
yeah, Shubman
90,
Gill,
and I
yeah,
wouldn't count the
Jaiswal,
seven.
Jaiswal to a
J- J-
certain extent.
yeah, yeah, but when you think about the performances and how they got them versus how New Zealand, like, these are match changing performances.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, I agree. I agree. We always talk about, momentum shifting or match winning performances. India just never had that. I know we're gonna talk about India separately, but New
Hmm.
Zealand was able to have those partnerships that are able to sort of add that extra pressure where, you're like, oh, the ball is maybe on New Zealand's court now, where, the game is slipping on their side. And as you mentioned there, some good batting from New Zealand. especially on these turning tracks. So kudos to them.
Yeah,
You know, did
yeah,
probably was the major differential.
yeah. Can't say enough about the dog that they have in them when they came out to bat. Like you saw that they were putting a price on their wickets. You saw that every
Always.
single time they came out to bat.
No, always, always. No doubt about that.
All right, so let's switch into the series review for India. We've already shat on them a lot, but it is what it is. And, when they do well, we give them their flowers. When they do shit, you got to call it out, right? You got to call out the performances. You got to hold them accountable to the way they've been batting this entire series, and that's where I want to start with the batting. We talked a little bit about it already, but again, it's their approach. I just feel like they need to figure out something else with their approach. I don't think this approach of baseball like batting is suited best for India.
No, I completely agree. And just to be a little more critical, because I don't think we could be critical enough, you've had three test matches. One, two collapses in the first test match is okay, but across three consecutive test matches is a sign of a problem. You've
Hmm.
had, one can argue three different types of pitches, especially the first pitch compared to the last two. The pitches were different. You had something available for seamers on the first pitch in the first test match, and compare that to Wankhede, completely spinning.
Yeah.
So you've had a variety of pitches. You're in India, okay, and you're
Hmm.
against a New Zealand opposition. Again, not nothing to take away from New Zealand, but just from a world ranking perspective, this was looked at as a very favorable matchup in India's perspective.
Yeah.
I think now is a time for deep concern and deep reflection for India batting in particular. You have your 1-2 odd good performances, but if you're not able to build partnerships, which you're not seeing consecutively here, you're not able to have a flow of batting. We just you can basketball looks good if it works. If it doesn't, it looks really weird, right? And
Yeah.
you hear this as well. I think it was Nasser Hussain who said this. The key player in basketball is Joe Root.
Yes.
So who is India's Joe Root equivalent for basketball, right? Did you have Kohli really determined
That's a
as number
great
three,
point.
right? You didn't have that. So I think it's a time of reflection, as you mentioned, in way India approaches batting. Uh, I think the talent is there, and I think you have the personnel is there as well. Will there be some changes in the future? I think so, but I definitely think is a time for reflection on the approach that India takes.
Yeah. Yeah, completely agree. You need batters out there that can grind it out. You think about the previous generations of Indian batters, people like Rahul Dravid, Cheteshwar Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane. These are grinders. VVS Luxman.
Oh yeah,
Grinders. You
yeah,
give them any pitch, they will figure a way to score runs on it. You can't just go and play aggressive every single time. Now, if it's your natural game, fine. Rishabh Pant, do what you do. Jaiswal, do what you do. But the rest of you, I don't get it. Like, play play the merit of the ball and try to grind out runs. If it's hard to bat on, doesn't mean you just go and try to hit every ball out the ground and just, oh, I guess I got out. It's like you England came to India, played 5 test matches, did that, and they lost the series in India doing
yep,
that. Right? So
yes.
it doesn't work. New Zealand did not do that. New Zealand came and they grinded, and they scored, they churned out runs. And sometimes that's what you got to do. So I agree. They got to revisit how they want to approach batting. It's going to be interesting if they're going to change it up for the Australia series, which I'm sure we'll get to. But yeah, it's super super interesting how they're going to approach batting going forward after the series.
Yeah, and just one point that I wanted to mention as well. I
Hmm.
think to that sort of that grinding position or that grinding player, I think India's for this test series was Sarfaraz Khan. And you got that in one of his innings, but especially in Mumbai, India needed one of those grindy Ranji Trophy innings that he is really famous for, right? Pujara-esque, maybe not as great as Pujara, especially, with his experience, but Pujara-esque for sure. And, he got out very early on in Mumbai, especially. So you just never got that. But I definitely think it was his opportunity to show India what he can offer, right? That platform was set for him, just didn't really do it.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a little bit about that from Shubman Gill in that innings in the third test match where he made that 90. But you needed more of that. You need more of that grit and that fight in the batting.
No, I 100% agree. A lot of for India to think about now, especially with the Border Gavaskar Trophy coming up soon.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit on the bowling. What are your thoughts on the bowling? Anything to worry about there? I feel like there are a couple of things to worry about.
Yeah, so if you look at the series in total, and especially
Yeah.
with looking at the series coming up, with Shami not being fit, who will be that lethal fast bowler with Bumrah? You have Siraj, but did he really show that this series? I was a little underwhelmed by him. You could argue
Hmm.
about the pitch, but take the pitch out. You got to be a grindy bowler, and I definitely was not as impressed with Siraj as you've been accustomed to. He's from a white ball perspective, he's great, but
Yeah.
you would just hope that he would just be a little more impactful as Shami like Shami would be. And just quickly from a spinning perspective, I think Jaddu was a little bit, excuse me, underwhelming initially. Did pick
In
it
the
up,
first two test matches for sure. I mean, he came to the
yeah.
fore in the third test, but it was too late. The series
It
is
was
done.
too late. It was too late.
Yeah.
And we mentioned this before. Ashwin and Jadeja in India is usually a nightmare for any incoming batsman. But it wasn't that much of a case this time around. What about you? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on India's bowling?
Yeah, in to follow on what you're saying about India's bowling, like when you look at the top wicket takers for the series, and when you look at that, Washington Sundar is number one. I'm talking about from India's perspective, and you don't see that often. You don't see that often. It's usually Jadeja and Ashwin, and Jadeja, to his credit, made it to number one. But as we said, he took what 11 wickets in this Test match, and
Yeah,
he's taken a total of 16 for the series. So you take away this Test match, he's got 5 wickets for the other two matches, right? And that doesn't happen. You usually have consistent performances, maybe not a fifer every time, but a 2 wicket haul, a 3 wicket haul, or if someone's taking a 2 wicket haul, then the other one's taking a four or fifer, right? That's usually what you're used to. So it is it is troubling to see that, but at the same time, it's understandable. They're older, uh, they're at the other side of their career now, and
hmm
they are class players. And I wouldn't drop them. I would keep playing them because of the experience they bring, and you never know, they could just turn it on any given day
I
because they're
agree.
class, and as they say, class is permanent.
No, no, I agree. I agree. Well, Toronto, what about your thoughts from a fast bowling department and looking back at the series? Not too fast friendly pitches, but we've had a few bowlers come and go.
Yeah, not too worried. I know that maybe we didn't get the performances we wanted from the fast bowlers. I know Bumrah did his thing; he always does his thing. But Bumrah aside, we didn't really get anything from the other fast bowlers, Akashdeep and Mohammad Siraj. They gave glimpses of performances, but the pitches weren't really suited other than the first test match. So I wouldn't look too much into it. The big test is when they get to Australia. They've taken a battery of fast bowlers, so there's a lot to choose from. But I feel like Akashdeep, Siraj, and Bumrah are going to be the top three choices, and then it'll be interesting to see who they pick as the fourth option. But yeah, overall, I'm not too worried. I think they'll be fine. They have the pace. Some of the wickets that they took were great. Like Akashdeep took, like for example, the second innings against New Zealand. The way he got Latham, yeah, the way he got Latham bowled, that was impressive. And I
Yeah.
think he got Conway out in the previous innings. LBW was getting good speed, good swing. So I'm not too worried about that. I think they'll be fine given better wickets for fast bowlers.
Yeah, no, no. I completely agree as well. So exciting times ahead for Team India, a lot to reflect on, but definitely some lessons to take away. And I definitely don't think they're getting enough of a beating from the press and media online.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're part of that,
Yeah,
right?
just
We're
doing
part
our
of that now.
jobs. Just doing our
Yeah,
jobs.
yeah, for sure. So, do we want to talk about the Australia series coming up a little bit, or do you want to save that for the preview episode that we're gonna do?
3 words. I am worried. I don't
Yes,
know,
and I.
man. That's all. I definitely think the Australia series deserves a full episode. So if you're watching, stay tuned for that. But I
Yeah.
think there's definitely some learnings in this one. I definitely think India needs to definitely hunker down batting, especially from
Mhm.
an approach perspective. You can't get really sucked into the whole baseball trend or the positive cricket. Australia plays like Australia. New
Mhm.
Zealand plays like New Zealand. India just play like India. Simple as
Yep.
that. What about you?
Yep.
What are your thoughts, especially with this concluding right now, looking into the Australia series?
Yeah, I could say I'm worried, but at the same time, I'm sort of hopeful to see how India's going to respond from this, because they've
Fair.
never, as we've said multiple times, they've never lost a series at home for so long. So this is where you see someone's true character come out. So what are we going to see? Are we going to see India put on a fight and a amazing show against Australia, or are they going to succumb to the way they performed in this New Zealand series, right? So we're gonna get a sense of that, and I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see how some of these players like Virat and Rohit turn it around, because I'm sure it's hurting, and so it should. And but at the same time, I'm excited to see how they're gonna come back from this, and even Ashwin, Jadeja, all these guys. I'm excited to see the performance they're gonna put up. The one thing that I think about when I look at the previous two series in Australia that India won, and this was actually mentioned, I can't remember what podcast, but the one thing missing that is never really talked about, because sometimes individuals like these, they're underrated, they slip under the radar. Cheteshwar Pujara
Oh man,
was the reason why we won the last series. No one talks about it like that.
last two
The
series in
last two
Australia. Yeah.
series, you look at his performances, you look at the way he batted. I'll never forget that test match at the Gabba, where this guy was eating balls all over his body, and he stuck around. He grinded it out. That word again, grinded it out. He fought it out. He hung in there and just churned out a 50 somehow, some way. And that is what is missing from the Indian squad this time, because I don't see who's going to be that guy.
No, I completely agree. I'm a huge Pajara fan, and for our fans out there, please listen to some of the media out there right now surrounding the upcoming Australia summer. I think it was Tim Payne and Cousins on two different podcasts or two different videos. They mentioned, and they were reflecting on the last two series that
Yeah.
with India.
Yeah. It
They
was in the Great
mentioned
Cricketer. That's
it was
right.
in the
It was
Great
on the Great
Cricketer.
Cricketer.
I think,
Yes.
yeah, perhaps maybe both of them were on the Great Cricketer, but yeah, they both mentioned by name that the key difference for Team India was Pujara because he ate at the bowlers. He frustrated the bowlers.
Yep.
And in Australia, on those dry days at the Gabba, where sometimes the pitch is absolutely dead, right? Or the pitch is bouncing, you need someone there who will literally put their body on the line.
Yeah.
And Pujara always body on the line. And as mentioned as well earlier in this episode, he complements Bunt really well. So when they're in the middle, because somehow they always are having that partnership in
Yeah.
Australia, we actually saw that magic happen where, Bunt was able to fully spread his wings because Pujara was at the other end just holding it down.
Yeah. 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 So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to play that Pujara role for India, because I definitely feel we need that. And if we don't have someone, this series is probably not looking good for India.
No, I agree. And just wanted to mention one more thing. I wanted your opinion on this.
Mm.
So I think this episode's about an hour, and I
Yeah.
think we blamed everyone. We put pressure on everyone from India's side, but we're missing one name, Gigi. Gotham Gambhir's name
Yes.
was not mentioned, and I think this Australia series coming up, it was a big
Oof.
series before his announcement. Don't get me wrong. I think it's literally going to be a test for him, particularly because you lose the series against Sri Lanka earlier this year. That was a big
Mm-hmm.
series to lose against Sri Lanka. Now you
Yeah.
get whitewashed at home by New Zealand, 3-0. And this has literally happened within the first few months of your
Yep.
tenure. You know, I
He's under
definitely
pressure.
feel Gotham is under pressure. And hey, I think if you feel the same way as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, great point, and good you brought that up. Yeah, we definitely have to, call him out as well. He's definitely under pressure, and I feel like he's gonna turn it around. He's another fighter, and I feel like this series is gonna hurt him a lot. The series loss, it's gonna sting. And again, let's see how he does as a coach. Let's see how he brings the team together. Let's see how he brings the coaching staff together. Because it's not just him, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the entire coaching staff. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
Morney Morkill, Ryan Tindashkate. Like these guys are all under pressure.
Yeah, no, time will tell. But GG's first couple of months haven't been the smoothest. Let's just
Yeah,
say
yeah.
the least.
Cool. So let's wrap up the episode here. We want to bring in a new segment. So the series just happened in New Zealand. New Zealand whitewashed 3-0. What was your moment of the series? And this can be anything. It can be serious, it can be fun, it can be whatever that stuck out for you.
No, first of all, I think this is a great inclusion in the pod. So my moment of the series. So I think there's been a couple of funny moments here and there, But if I were to pick one moment, it would it would probably be Kohli not performing. I think
Ooh.
if Kohli had, again, we mentioned this before, number 3 for India, key position. Especially on the spinning wickets. Number 3 knows how to play spin, knows how to get through the overs, right? In India, especially.
Hmm.
And India just missed that. Even those reliable 40s, 30 high
Hmm.
30s, high 40s, which as you mentioned, as a number 3, especially as an
Yeah,
opener,
number
as
four,
an
number
opener.
four,
Sorry, number
number four.
4. Sorry, number
Yeah.
4. Or, as an opener, you're sometimes you're just to settle the nerves. You're just settle
Hmm.
everything, right? And Goldie has historically been doing that really well. I'm sorry, I meant to say number 4, but him just not performing at that level because we just been so used to it. It's
Hmm.
been unfortunate. I think that's what we missed.
Yeah. Okay. Good shout. Good shout. I definitely miss seeing him score runs. I think he had that one innings where he made a 70 odd. I think it was the first test.
Yeah, 70
Um,
odd.
yeah, yeah. But other than that, yeah, he we missed him for the series for sure, and hope to see him back strong against Australia down under. My moment of the series for me, I'm gonna go a different. I'm gonna go the funny route. That moment in the first test match where Sarfraz Khan was jumping up and down, sending punt
Front
back.
to back. Oh my god. I'm
I
glad you remember that.
cannot forget that. I cannot forget that.
Uh
Oh my gosh. And then that moment, and you know what? I'm gonna throw another close second funny moment was Siraj's review on that day one evening. My goodness.
remember his
His
face?
facial expression, yeah. Like that's the expression that probably every Indian fan had when they realized that New Zealand whitewashed India 3-0.
Oh my
Like that
god.
just
That's a meme.
represented.
That's a meme. That's a meme. And I just love how he comes out with his hat. Like he carries the aura of Sir Vivian Richards. It's like he's about to hit a nice cover drive, nice front
Yeah.
foot placement. But no, they're
Yeah.
two great moments. And I think, hey, to your point, both, a potential run out, a brain fade moment. I think that pretty much sums it up for Team India there.
Yeah, yeah, great representation of how the series went for sure. And that's a great note to end it. That's all we got for today's play. Join us on the next day. Until then, that stumps.